We got out this bottle of oxygen absorbers today so that we could package some food, and we have a problem. Hi, I'm Jonathan, the Provident Prepper. We have been using oxygen absorbers to package our dry goods for many years, and we've had great success doing that. But today we had a little bit of an issue, and so we decided to do this video. So in this video, we are going to talk about the proper way to use oxygen absorbers and some of the challenges you might come across. Stay with us. After all these years of using oxygen absorbers, we thought we had it pretty well covered. Until the other day when we found out that some of our oxygen absorbers had been ruined.
We like to purchase our oxygen absorbers in packages of 100. That makes sure that we have plenty for whatever job that we need to do, and we just save the oxygen absorbers that we don't use for another session. But in order to be able to do this, you have to take very good care of them. So as soon as we open that package, we make sure that we protect the oxygen absorbers from oxygen. One way that we do that is by putting them in a canning jar. And these oxygen absorbers are some different sizes from the last time that we packaged some food storage. As you can see, they still look good. The seal on the jar is nice and tight, so they're just fine.
This is a bag of oxygen absorbers that we picked up at a canning center. And you can see that bag is kind of puffed out. One thing you need to remember is those oxygen absorbers are only absorbing the oxygen. The remainder of the atmospheric air, which is about 80% of it, still remains.
So it can be just a little bit deceiving. And the third way that you can keep your oxygen absorbers viable is to re-vacuum seal them. We like to do this by using a steel pack Mylar bag. You can't successfully normally seal Mylar bags, but steel pack bags are specially designed for this purpose, and we'll talk more about that.
These steel pack vacuum seal bags are a textured embossed Mylar, and these are my favorite way to do this because it pulls as much air as possible out of there and then seals them.
We'll leave a link to the steel pack Mylar bags in the description of this video. We clearly know how to do this, so what is the problem? Why did we end up with all these oxygen absorbers completely ruined? Okay, quite frankly, it's my fault. I have these beautiful antique canning jars that I like to use just because I think they're so pretty. And so I had decided to use one of them to store the oxygen absorbers in. If you look really carefully, you can see that these oxygen absorbers, they're rusted out. And most of the time when oxygen absorbers are used up, they just turn hard. But these actually look like they got moisture in them as well as a lot of oxygen. And upon closer inspection, we discovered that this beautiful antique canning jar had little chips in the rim of the jar, which allowed the oxygen absorbers to suck in the oxygen from the room, along with some moisture from the basement storeroom.
It should be noted on first inspection, this jar seemed fine, but after we looked really close, you could see the little chips and feel just a little bit, and it doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. But the other thing I should have noticed before I put it away is that normally within just 15-30 minutes after putting oxygen absorbers in the canning jar, you will hear that lid pop. It sucks down. And that did not happen with this one. These are oxygen absorbers that are a lot older, but they were sealed in a Mylar bag. And remember, this Mylar bag was puffy. And so we were kind of hesitant, wondering whether or not these oxygen absorbers would still be good. But they looked fine. And so we decided to use those as we were packaging up this food into the Mylar bags.
Let's talk about the best practice for sealing food in Mylar bags. The first thing you want to do is label your bags so that you know what's in there. Sometimes after you get it sealed, there's some question about, what was really in here?
So true.
So it's best to label them right up front.
And then you want to fill the bags. And once it's all ready to go, that's when you pull out your oxygen absorbers. We've actually packaged food with oxygen absorbers in a professional setting, and the guideline there was not to leave them out longer than 30 minutes. In our home practice, we like to not leave them out for longer than about 10. These are those bags a day later, and you'll notice that some of them have shrunk up much more than others. One of them was still a bit puffy. Now, sometimes this will happen. Most of the time when that happens, it's because the seal isn't good on there. So make sure that you check the seal, look really carefully to see if there's any possibility that there's any air escaping. If you're concerned, you can cut off that top, put in a new oxygen absorber, and reseal that bag. So we're thinking it's probably just has to do more with the oxygen and nitrogen mixing the air, and we were just pretty comfortable. It was shrunk down more than it was the day before. So we personally decided to leave that. That's something that you need to decide for your own food storage.
It may be that we just didn't squeeze the air out of that one quite as much. We like to get as much air out as we can before we seal them, and this one may not have had the air pushed out.
Let's talk just a little bit about the difference between the standard Mylar and the steel pack Mylar. There are some foods that I like to vacuum seal, like popcorn, because it's a higher moisture content. It's about 13%, and I like it to keep that moisture. And so that's not something I'm going to use an oxygen absorber in. So the steel pack Mylar is perfect for my popcorn. The steel pack is thinner Mylar than what we normally like to use. It only comes in 4 mil, and it's got that texture so that it will vacuum seal. The standard Mylar we like to use between 5 and 7 mil, and it's really nice and thick and durable Mylar. As you look at the difference between those two bags, it's important to understand that when you package food with an oxygen absorber, it may shrink up, but it is not ever intended to really look like something that has been vacuum sealed. So it's okay if you have a little bit of air or puffiness in your oxygen absorbed Mylar bags.
One of the challenges of sealing these steel pack Mylar bags is that we needed to get those up a little bit higher so that the food product wasn't trying to spill out. Otherwise, you have to put much less product in the bag. So we just set that up on that box, and that helped us not have to tip it down so far.
Yeah, it
worked out really well. Even after all these years of doing dry pack and using oxygen absorbers, we still make mistakes sometimes. Putting them in this jar turned out to be a mistake. And it wasn't so much a financial loss as it was losing the ability to preserve that food.
Although I felt pretty silly because I could have bought a lot of chocolate chips with that.
So even after all these years, we're still learning every day. There's things that we're finding out new and mistakes that we're making. So if it happens to you, don't feel bad.
We wrote a really good article on how to package dry foods in Mylar bags for your long-term storage. If you go to the Provident Prepper or just Google that, it should come up. And it has step-by-step exactly what you need to do and what you need to be concerned with. And there's also an accompanying video on YouTube where you'll see our family busy packaging food storage in Mylar bags. Now, we always think about Mylar bags, but it's possible that you might not have the resources or that you might not want to package your food in Mylar bags. And you could package it in glass jars or in plastic peat bottles. Check out our video, Plastic Bottle Food Storage, on YouTube. In this video, we show you how to repurpose plastic bottles and use oxygen absorbers to store your food.
Check them out. As you can see, using oxygen absorbers is a great way to package your dry goods as long as you protect your oxygen absorbers. Make sure that they are in a tight bottle with a good seal, or that you vacuum seal them in a Mylar bag. And now for the question of the day. What experience do you have using oxygen absorbers to package your dry goods? Comment below. And thanks for being part of the solution.